Welcome to The Parent Thing. Hi, I'm Taryn, your host, and I'm so excited you're here. This is the space where we uncover the incredible potential of childhood, parenting, and the power of neurosomatic intelligence. Whether you're a parent, teacher, caregiver, or someone who deeply impacts a child's life, this podcast is your guide to nurturing emotional resilience, fostering growth, and building meaningful connections. Together, we'll explore cutting-edge insights, practical tools, and heartfelt stories to empower you in shaping the next generation. Join me each week as we dive into strategies, science, and stories that inspire and transform. Let's reimagine what's possible for the children we care about and for ourselves. Now, let's begin this inspiring journey together. Welcome back to The Parent Thing. I'm Taryn, and today we're diving into a topic that every parent, caregiver, and teacher knows all too well about: tantrums. We've all been there. Your child is on the floor, screaming at the top of their lungs in the middle of the grocery store. Or maybe your toddler throws themselves onto the couch because you cut their sandwich the wrong way. It can feel frustrating, embarrassing, and overwhelming. But here's the good news. Tantrums aren't just random explosions of chaos. They're deeply connected to how your child's brain develops and regulates emotions. And when we understand the neuroscience of tantrums, we can respond with more calm, compassion, and effectiveness. So today we're going to unpack what's happening in your child's brain during a meltdown, the different types of tantrums, strategies backed by neuroscience to help you manage them, and how to support your child in building long-term emotional regulation skills. By the end of this episode, you'll have a science-backed toolkit to navigate those tough moments with more confidence. Let's start with the brain science. I am going to give you a simplified version of how the brain develops. The brain develops from the bottom up. That means the more primitive areas like the brainstem develop first, which is the back of your brain, and we call this your reptile brain. This part of the brain is responsible for survival, breathing, heart rate, and fight or flight responses. Next comes the limbic system, sometimes called the emotional brain. This is where we experience big feelings like fear, anger, or joy. And at the very top, we have the prefrontal cortex, which is the logical, reasoning, self-regulating part of the brain. Here's the key. In young children, the prefrontal cortex is under construction. It's not fully developed until the mid-20s, so around 25 years old. That means your child simply doesn't yet have the brain wiring to manage intense emotions on their own. When a tantrum happens, it's essentially the limbic system taking over. The survival brain and emotional brain go into overdrive, and the thinking brain shuts down. This is why reasoning with a child in the middle of a tantrum usually doesn't work. It's like trying to reason with an angry, drunk person. The key takeaway here is that tantrums are not misbehavior, they're dysregulation and trying to communicate a need. Not all tantrums are the same. Understanding the difference helps you to respond in the right way. So let's talk about a few different kinds of tantrums. First, we get frustration tantrums. So this is where your child, example, right? This is where your child is trying to build a block tower. It keeps falling, and suddenly they throw the blocks across the room. What's happening? Their brain is overwhelmed by the challenge. The child hasn't yet developed frustration tolerance or patience. So remember that when the brain perceives threat, whether the threat is real or imagined, it activates the sympathetic nervous system that usually elicits an F response. So that's like your fight, flight, freeze, fawn, those responses. You can help them here by naming the emotion of frustration, being empathetic and acknowledging that the task seems difficult for them. Maybe even take a break and then come back to the task a little later. That teaches them to be kind to themselves and also not to give up because they are challenged. Then we get fatigue or hunger tantrums. An example here would be when they have meltdown at bedtime or right before dinner. What's happening? Their nervous systems are already stressed and don't have the ability to self regulate. Even we as adults get a little hangry. If you haven't heard that term, it's like a combination of hungry and angry. So even we as adults get a little hangry or fight our sleep sometimes. For these kinds of tantrums, prevention goes a long way. Implementing bedtime and mealtime routine is probably your best bet to avoid this kind of tantrum. Then we get the attention seeking tantrums. It doesn't present as a conventional or a typical tantrum. The example here would be when they give you the loud show when you're on the phone. Mom, look at this. Mom, I can do this. Mom, talk to me. Or when they pull your face towards them when you're trying to speak to somebody. What's happening here is that the child is using a big emotion to signal connection needs. These behaviors are their attempt at communicating that they need some attention. Try spending some undivided time with them before you make the call or do whatever it is that you need to do, or explaining that you have to make the call and then giving them something to do to keep busy while you're on the phone. The tantrum that we perceive as a typical tantrum is a sensory overload tantrum. So, an example here would be the meltdown in the middle of a noisy birthday party at the airport or on a plane. What's happening here is the nervous system is flooded by way too much stimulation, way too much sensory input, sound, light, touch. The chaos around them is what dysregulates them. To help them hear, moving them to a quiet place is a great place to start. And then noise cancelling headphones are also a winner in places where you can't move them to a more quiet place. The next one is the control tantrum, the tantrum that no man alive has yet been able to explain the logic of. The example here would be I want the blue cup, not the green cup. What's happening here? This is about autonomy. The child's need for independence clashes with parental limits. There are times when this fight happens and you go ahead and switch up the cup, but it still isn't good enough. The issue then is most likely they are hungry or they are tired. Giving them choices beforehand will give them a sense of autonomy. So, two or three choices should do, because when we give them too many choices, it becomes overwhelming for them, which may make this tantrum go into a meltdown. Knowing the type of tantrum helps you to choose whether to offer comfort, set a boundary, or remove some stimulation. Here's a reframe about tantrums that may surprise you. Tantrums are actually a healthy sign of development. They show a couple of things. It shows that your child feels safe enough to express their emotions. It shows that your child is practicing using their voice to communicate needs. It shows that they are starting to develop independence. They also move their bodies intuitively, which is a great way to process that emotion, and it aids in their regulation. Think of tantrums as the emotional gym. Just like muscles grow through resistance, your child's brain grows through emotional challenges. With your guidance, they learn resilience, problem solving, and coping strategies. The danger is not in the tantrum itself, it's in how we as the adult responds. If children are shamed, punished, ignored consistently, they may learn that emotions aren't safe. That can lead to suppressed feelings, anxiety, or explosive behaviors later on. Okay, let's get practical. What do you actually do when your child is in the middle of a meltdown? Step one, safety first. Make sure your child and others are safe. If needed, Gently move them to a quieter space. Step 2, regulate yourself first. Children's nervous systems are wired to co regulate with adults. If you are escalated, they'll escalate more. Take a deep breath, lower your voice, soften your body language, and if you need some tools that will help you regulate and calm down, I have created a free downloadable guide that has 5 simple tools that you can use to calm down your nervous system, and the results are pretty much instant. Just click the link that I have in my show notes or in my bio on my Instagram and TikTok pages, and the download is yours immediately. Step 3 is connection over correction. Instead of lecturing or reasoning, focus on helping them feel seen and safe. Simple phrases like, I see that you're really upset, or assuring them that you were there with them, or assuring them of their safety. Step 4 are comfort tools. Offer a hug if they want one. Use sensory calming strategies like a weighted blanket, deep pressure, or even a glass of water. Step 5, and I think this is a very difficult one for most parents because we struggle with the patience, but to wait it out. Remember, in the height of a tantrum, the thinking brain is offline. Once the storm passes, then you can talk about solutions. The ultimate goal isn't just to survive tantrums, but to equip your child with lifelong emotional regulation tools. Here are some neuroscience backed practices. The first one is name it to tame it. Teach your child to label emotions: angry, sad, frustrated, disappointed, jealous. Naming feelings activates the prefrontal cortex, helping to calm the limbic system. Modeling regulation is another way. Kids learn more from what we do than what we say. Show them how you calm down when you're stressed. You can say something like, I'm feeling so frustrated, so I'm going to take 3 deep breaths. Practice calm when you're calm. Teach breathing techniques, mindfulness, or movement breaks during non tantrum times. This builds muscle memory for when emotions arise. Offer choices. Giving them a few choices like red shirt or blue shirt builds autonomy and reduces power struggles. And then routine and rhythm, as I said before. Predictability lowers stress on the nervous system, so regular meal or sleep schedules and transitions help prevent meltdowns. I want to leave you with a mindset shift. Instead of thinking, my child is giving me a hard time, try reframing it as, my child is having a hard time. This small shift moves us from frustration to compassion. It reminds us that tantrums aren't about control or manipulation. They are crying out for help, connection, or regulation. And here's the beautiful part. Every tantrum is an opportunity to teach a child about emotions, an opportunity to build trust, and an opportunity to model grace under pressure. So, the next time your child has a meltdown, remember their brain is still developing. Remember that tantrums are normal and even healthy. And mostly remember your calm presence is the most powerful tool that you have. Thank you for tuning into The Parent Thing. If this episode was helpful, share it with a fellow parent who might need some encouragement. And don't forget that you can download my Calm Parent Starter Kit with practical tools to regulate yourself and your child. The link, again, is in the show notes and in the bio of my TikTok and Instagram pages. Until next time, remember, you don't have to be a perfect parent, just a present one.
Thank you for tuning into The Parenting. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have any questions, feedback, or